Hey guys, it's Emma Vigling with TYT Politics, Jordan Sheridan over there. We want to talk about the idiot, Jeff Sessions, the Attorney General of the United States, who is Forrest Gump but more insidious. He said something really dumb about marijuana the other day. This is his exact quote. I'm astonished. No, I'm not going to try that accent. I'm astonished to hear people suggest that we can solve our heroin crisis by legalizing marijuana, so people can trade one life-wrecking dependency for another that's only slightly less awful. Our nation needs to say clearly once again that using drugs will destroy your life. First of all, what he's saying is factually incorrect. Marijuana does not have a chemical dependency that is proven by scientists, even though it's difficult for scientists to actually study marijuana because of the classification by the federal government, which Obama could have worked to change. He did not, and Obama loved marijuana back in the day. That is a dangerous assertion. It is factually incorrect, and many people, if you have seizures, if you have cancer, have been helped by marijuana, and saying that you have the Attorney General of the United States saying that it's only slightly less awful when there are people who are medicinally helped and their pain is eased by marijuana. So maybe don't go try heroin to ease your medical pain and what's hurting on the inside with heroin. Because if you have someone that high up in government saying something that dangerous, like there are gullible people out there, and that dictates a conversation.
Where do you even fucking start with Jeff Sessions?
Yeah.
First of all, maybe the gateway drug to heroin is joblessness, poverty, lack of health care. A lot of people do hard drugs because they've lost their way, because politicians like Jeff Sessions and neoliberals, but have been basically fucking them up the ass, excuse my French, for years. The 2008 economic crash wasn't the only thing that led people to economic struggle. The income inequality in this country has been severe since the early 1980s, maybe even earlier than that. So,
and exacerbated by criminalizing drugs,
right,
to that extent.
Right.
Like Jeff Sessions.
Right. So, like, you're right about the scientific part, but it's insulting to people who have actually been, like, overdosed on heroin and these things, and their families, to compare weed, which, by the way, science also tells you has terrific medicinal values, and just it's also helping the economy in certain states. It's a joke. And I think what's even more troubling is you have Jeff Sessions focusing on this. You know, he's like the weed warrior now, when he's already said, oh, I'm going to roll back DOJ investigations into police department misconduct, you know, shit that actually is killing people around the country. I mean, the guy is dangerous. Not just he looks like a Klan member, frankly, but
talks like a Klan member.
What he says and what he does, his priorities are off, and it's scary. It's scary.
You know, actually, Jordan, someone named Jefferson Beauregard Sessions III really has his pulse on the country and minorities. I mean, he's named after literally a Confederate general. Look, marijuana is not something that you should be using all day. It decreases your productivity. You can't, I would never smoke in the middle of the workday. But at best, it's like someone who didn't get enough sleep the night before. It's not something that affects you. You're not like literally nodding out. Do you remember when we were in Detroit and that guy literally nodded out on heroin on you? Mm-hmm. Like, just. But we stay in some great places on the road, but it's not the same. It's dangerous, and it goes to show that he sees people that use drugs that aren't like him, that aren't don't clearly have a stick up their ass, as a monolith. He doesn't see any of the social implications that go into drug use. He doesn't see any of the economic implications that go into drug use. And you know what's funny, by the way, about some Republicans on heroin? Everyone's so concerned about heroin. Now I wonder why. Because it affects white people. But back in the 80s, when the crack epidemic was happening, or in the 90s as well, because it was primarily being used by black people, while, by the way, Wall Street bankers were snorting powder cocaine and going to board meetings. They didn't care about that so much. Oh, crack babies, crack epidemic. But now that heroin's actually affecting white people and their constituents that are white in these rural areas, now they start to pretend to care about heroin use, as opposed to another drug, which is also horrible for you. And that was more of the criminalization angle.
Right. And by the way, I mean, the DOJ, the Department of Justice, has had their priorities wrong, even going back to the Obama administration. I was in North Dakota. People were getting brutalized. It looked like a freaking horror movie, the way things were going, some dystopia. Loretta Lynch did a video and said, oh, you know, we're monitoring, and then did nothing. So really, this is much bigger than just the weed issue and this and that. The Justice Department that's supposed to protect citizens and get justice are focused on, you know, comparing weed to heroin and other things. And, you know, they're not all bad, and sometimes they do good things. But Jeff Sessions, I think the problem really is he's still living in the 1950s. I mean, I was just in Alabama, and he was a senator from Alabama for, I think, 2 decades. And then Alabama is very much like the 1950s still in the way they think and some of the policies there. So he doesn't want to look at the science. He doesn't want to look at, you know, new research because he's set in his mindset. He's kind of like Donald Trump. That's why Donald Trump is basically tossing the phrase climate change out of the government vernacular, because he doesn't want to know about facts. We live in a post-factual America, but this is dangerous because this is only going to lead to recriminalization and further criminalizing marijuana. When Trump wants to create jobs, Trump wants to, you know, create economic prosperity, follow Colorado, follow Oregon, follow these states that are legalizing marijuana and seeing the economic boom. Is Colorado falling out of the union and everybody's fucking, you know, zombies and getting in car accidents and dying? I haven't seen it. I was in Portland. I smoked a little hash, so
A little
you know,
hash.
I get a little crazy when I'm high, but and I don't do it often, Mom. But you get the point. I think Jeff Sessions, we got to monitor him and follow him closely, because in addition to racism is the stupidity, and that's dangerous.
And under Jeff Sessions, me and my white friends from college, when we smoke, you know, a lot on the weekends and we're watching a movie, we're not going to get our door banged down. But like a black guy getting stopped and frisked is that, you know, or a minority in the country, they'll be the ones getting in trouble, not my college-educated, you know, bougie friends.
And you tend to cry over anything. Do you get more emotional when you're high? Because I remember seeing a video of you smoking, watching The Notebook, and that was something.
What?
You didn't know about that?
He made it up, yeah.
Okay.